The American Fine fragrances from Fulton Roark have been getting more and more popular over the last year or two. I can't turn on social media and not see a Fulton Roark video, and that's great for them. But as of 2 weeks ago, I'd never tried a Fulton Roark fragrance. And I was certainly excited to find out what they were about. They actually sent me 15 samples and 2 full bottles for review. But just because they sent them for review, please know that I'm going to give you my honest opinions. There are a few that I absolutely love. There are a few that I don't love very much at all. And there are a few that I'm rather indifferent to. That smell nice, I wouldn't pay that Fulton Roark money for those. So I'm gonna let you know my thoughts on all of them. Stick around, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Before we get started, please subscribe, ring the bell, do everything you need to do so you don't miss any future related fragrance content here on my channel. We have 3 sample boxes here with 5 fragrances per sample box, and that's the order we'll be moving in, no specific order at all. I've given all 15 fragrances a wear. We're gonna start with Mahana. First sample out of the box, and this is one of those wow fragrances for me. This is a really likable, musky grapefruit fragrance. I love grapefruit. It's fresh, it's unisex, it's mass appealing. I don't see how anybody could dislike this fragrance unless you dislike citrus fragrances. It has a bit of a throwback vibe to it. I've smelled other fragrances that smell kind of like this, though there's not one fragrance that jumps out at me. So it's not the most unique fragrance in the collection, but it's likable. And again, it's unisex, it'd make an excellent summer signature scent. We're starting off strong with Mahana. Next in the lineup, we have Thousand Palms, and I remember this opening being stunning. It's very green and floral, but it also has this tropical nuance to it. I can't explain it, but in the first 30 seconds, I smell a ripe green banana. It's not too sweet. It's not one of those sweet banana fragrances, and banana is not an official note. This might just be me, but I get a little bit of a banana. The opening is playful, it's likable, and incredibly unique. The opening of this fragrance reminds me of nothing else. Again, I've given this fragrance a full wear, and unfortunately, that banana vibe doesn't last too long. Unfortunately, it gets greener and more floral. It doesn't take too long for this green, photorealistic green pepper note to kind of come up and punch you in the nose. And unfortunately, green pepper is not one of my favorite notes. I have other fragrances with it in it, but here it is very strong. You can't miss the green pepper note. As it dries down, it continues being unisex, if not leaning a little bit feminine. Works fine for the spring and summer. And again, the uniqueness factor, 10 out of 10. I'll say it again, Thousand Palms, I love the opening. After the first 2 or 3 minutes though, I'm not a big fan. Next we have The Window to the Walls. No, it's called The Window. And this one is apparently inspired by desert landscapes. You get some pretty heavy yellow florals, you get this dry, woody leather, and then that desert breeze note. The saffron with the sand note is really quite charming. We have some fragrances coming up that do remind me of other things, but again, kind of like the last one, this is a very unique fragrance, at least to my nose. I don't have anything else in my collection that this even reminds me of. This isn't quite as mass appealing as others that are coming up, but I like it. This is niche perfumery that tells a story and does something different. I can understand why it's not their biggest seller because I don't think everybody will like this. This is for a unique taste, or at least for a certain taste. But for the right person, this would make an excellent signature scent. I like it. I don't know if I'd buy it, but I like it. Oh Lord, I should have looked up pronunciation. Matia? Matia? I don't know, I'm sorry. I remember this having a nice, warm, pronounced cardamom note. Yeah, it does, backed by this minty ginger note. You get some aromatic geranium in the base leather. This is a pretty versatile fall scent. This would work at the office. This might work for the date night. I don't find it particularly sexy. I don't think my wife would either, but it smells nice. It's certainly not one of my favorites, but it is nice. I actually like it better right now than I did a few nights ago when I wore it. That one might be growing on me actually. It will never be one of my favorites, but it's not bad. Next we have Palmetto. Grapefruit, neroli, pink pepper, and cedar. In the air, you get the grapefruit and the neroli. The closer your nose gets to paper, the more you get that cedar. It's a pretty big cedar note. And looking at the notes, Palmetto is one that I should really like, but I think it comes down to the price with this one. This is kind of a designer-like fragrance. It comes off a little bit synthetic, at least, the first 20, 30 minutes. After that time, it becomes less synthetic and it starts smelling really nice. And it does perform, especially for such a fresh, citrus, woody fragrance. This kind of reminds me of a fragrance from Brioni called Brioni Eclat, which is a fragrance I love in August. This just happens to be quite a bit more expensive, but I will say it performs a heck of a lot better. Again, it's a nice spring and summer, masculine, citrus, woody fragrance, just not worth the price to me. 5 down, let's move on to the next box, shall we? Next up, we have Cloudland. I've talked to a couple people that this is actually their favorite from Fulton Roark. And Cloudland is the perfect name for this fragrance. It's fluffy, it's soft. It's kind of airy, but it also has this nice clean skin scent vibe to it. It's a musky amber fragrance with a nice soft sweetness from citrus. I would say it's unisex, though I think women probably more than men gravitate to this type of scent. But I also expect Cloudland to layer very well with other things as well. Again, very fresh, very light, very airy. I don't know if I would buy it, but I do understand the appeal. I understand why this is some people's favorite. Next in this collection, we have Ghost Trees. That's actually one of the full bottles they sent. They were kind enough to let me choose which full bottles they sent, and I chose Ghost Trees for a couple reasons. I love a good marine fragrance, and two, it's one of their newest fragrances, if not their newest fragrance. It sounded right up my alley, and it is. I have found fragrances that I do like better coming up in this collection, but at the same time, I have no regrets at all of choosing Ghost Trees. I did a full review of this on a different platform, and what I said in that review is this is a scent that takes me somewhere. The name mixed with the scent takes me to a deserted beach on a dark, cloudy day, a quiet, desolate beach. You're surrounded by these old, haunting, dead old trees, these leafless trees, these ghost trees, as that soft, salty oceanic air hits your face. That's this fragrance in a nutshell. It's a salty fragrance from beginning to end. Sea salt is the dominant note, but it does change quite a bit from the beginning to the end. It opens up really fresh, ozonic, and aquatic, and it dries down much more woody. Cypress, in particular, driftwood. The driftwood note in this is the dominant note of the dry down. And this is an artsy marine fragrance. I wouldn't call this mass appealing. I would call it unisex though. Performance on this one is quite nice for such a ozonic, aquatic, marine fragrance. It projected for a couple hours, lasted 7 to 8 hours on my skin. The next sample in this collection was actually the next full bottle that I chose. Highway 190. This one is also quite unique and quite niche, though this does kind of remind me of other fragrances to a certain extent. It opens up, you get this soft, sweet, airy quality that fragrances like BR 540 made famous. But underneath that soft sweetness, airy quality is this pretty deep, spicy woodiness that fragrances like Parfum de Marie Halton or Oud for Greatness made popular. So to some degree, this might smell kind of like layering those two fragrances, but it also kind of does its own thing. I also did a full review of this one, and what I said in that review is I think this is an excellent beginner's niche fragrance. There's nothing designer about it, but it's very likable. And more importantly, it scratches that niche itch while being versatile. You can wear this to the office. I think it makes an excellent date night scent. I've talked to women who like Highway 190, but for me, I would say this does lean a little bit masculine. And it is one of my favorites from Fulton Roark. I have no regret at all of choosing Highway 190. Next up, we have Roark's Cove, and this is probably my favorite from the house. This is a big head turner. This is an aromatic woody scent with citrus notes, fruity notes, spicy notes, woody notes, everything a good men's fragrance needs. I smell this one. I can't believe this fragrance is not being talked about more. It's a head turner. It's a compliment getter. You look on Fragrantica which fragrances this gets compared to, and you see Blue Talisman, which I don't get at all. It's probably the pear note. There's a pear note in this, and that's really the only thing that even kind of smells like Blue Talisman. But Roark's Cove has a much more of a designer likability and wearability to it. It smells quite a bit like a designer fragrance, and in no way is that a bad thing. Write this down. You'll be hearing more about Roark's Cove, at least from me. All right, the last one out of this box is Calle Ocho, and this one is one that gets talked about a lot. And when you smell it, you understand why. It's sweet, it's spicy, it's a beautiful date night scent. It's boozy, and there's no doubt about it. Let's not be coy. This has that Angel Share DNA. But I've smelled fragrances closer to Angel Share. This kind of does its own thing as well. It's beautiful. I understand why it gets the accolades that it gets. All right, we have 5 more to go. Next up, we have Devil's Garden. I remember this being a dry, woody, rather mature fragrance. Yeah, and it is. It's a vetiver fragrance with kind of this resinous vibe to it. There's a soft, quiet, warm cardamom note to it. That's where the sweetness is coming from, but there's not a lot of sweetness to it. It's primarily a woody scent. I think this works professionally. I think this would work fine for the office, but it's not my favorite. All right, next up, this one's a good one. This one is pretty darn likable. This is called 226 Club, 226 Club, 226 Club. And this one is very recognizable too. This is one of those fragrances that smells like other things. It's a very blue fragrance, an aromatic, woody blue fragrance. If you are a fan of the YSL Y line, you'll see the similarities. But I took quite a bit of time comparing this to each of the YSL Y fragrances, and there's not one of them that it smells too close to. If you love those fragrances like I do, it will take your mind there, but they have their differences. One big difference is this is extrait concentration. They don't make any extrait concentrations. The other thing is this is a little bit more refined. As it dries down especially, you start picking out the notes just a little bit easier than you can with any of these. And the performance is excellent. It projects pretty well and it lasts, 10, 11 hours. It smells great. Next up we have Perpetua. And this is a lovely unisex citrus white floral fragrance. A really natural smelling lemon with jasmine. It's a very soft, kind of delicate, but still unisex. I can wear this. But again, very pleasant, great for spring and summer, works fine for the office, works great out in the high heat or just about any casual situation. Performance is average for such a natural smelling citrus floral fragrance. I don't think it's one that I would buy, but it is quite nice. I do appreciate it. All right, next up, what is probably my least favorite from their collection. This is called Sterling, and this is a pretty big pipe tobacco fragrance. Dry, bitter pipe tobacco fragrance with this rugged leather underneath. One thing about it, this is very unique, and this is very niche. They give you citrus notes and vanilla notes in the lineup, but they come with little to if any sweetness. Again, this opens so bitter. This is not for sissies. But unfortunately, it's also not for me. I'm not a big fan of Sterling. And last, but certainly not least, what is my favorite fragrance DNA in the collection? We have Ramble. And again, let's not be coy. Let's be honest about this. You'll get that Creed Aventus DNA almost instantly. It's impossible to miss, but it's also impossible not to enjoy if you like Aventus and those style fragrances. It seems like every house these days has one of those fragrances. Ramble's it for Fulton Roark. It does have its differences. This seems a little bit more aromatic. And again, I'll tell you, these are all straight concentrations, and performance with this one is no joke. I don't think it projects much further than arm's length, but it'll last 9, 10, 11 hours on skin, which is not too shabby for this type of fragrance. All right, I'm gonna close this thing up with picking my top 5 from Fulton Roark. My favorite has to be Roark's Cove. I could talk about that one all day long. Highway 190, let's call it number 2. It might be number 2. Picking a fresh summer citrus woody fragrance, it would either be Mahana or Palmetto. I think I would probably pick Mahana. I'm gonna add that to the top 5. And then for me, based on my taste, it would probably be 226 Club and Ramble. Even though those two are not the most unique in the collection, I can't help but love them. And then Ghost Trees would probably be number 6. One thing about it, Fulton Roark knows what they're doing. These are all quality fragrances. For the last time, they are all extracts, and you can buy them in the 50 ml bottle. But diving into the house, I strongly suggest trying the samples. That's the way to go. Get to know the fragrances, decide which one works best for you, and then go from there. This is Fulton Roark. These were all sent for review, and a big thank you to Fulton Roark. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And again, please don't forget to subscribe. I'm Marshall the Scent Addict. Come back and see me next time.